another Coupon Queens vlog, and I'm really excited to be at Max's Reestore today, and we're going to do a really creative vlog for all of you to do at home. So Max, welcome. Say hi to everybody.
Hello, I'm Max.
You may have seen Max, he's been on This Morning. What other shows have you been on?
Kirsty's Philly House for Free, that was fun and stressful. And then with Kevin McLeod, we got an aeroplane and chopped that up into lots of pieces.
Oh wow.
That was, yeah, that was again stressful. And Amazing Spaces with my mate George, making offices out of shipping containers and stuff.
Brilliant. So what are we going to be making today for everybody?
Something nice and simple. I think upcycling, which is what this is, we're using an old scaffold board. Upcycling gets difficult and tricky for people to do at home when they start trying to join lots of different things together.
Yeah.
So, with that in mind, designing something to be as easy as possible, this is a boot pull, which it actually works. I was quite surprised when I made the first one. Don't just upcycle, but design for upcycling as well. So, I'm in love with scaffold board. I think I've told you this before. Pallet wood, I love that. Scaffold board, love that. That's probably worth about 50p. You probably get it for nothing off a scaffolding.
And where can people get this from?
You could approach a scaffold company, which is where we get them. You get wood reclamation yards as well, that they get all the seconds. This would have been a second-rate scaffold board, so you can see it's got those little cracks in it.
And how does upcycling save people money? How is it thrifty?
Well, I've said to you before that I didn't get into upcycling just to save money. It was kind of, I really like it because it's quite innovative and it's quite thought-provoking. I like the idea that you're sitting in something that used to be a shopping trolley, or kind of you're lounging in an old roll-top bath that used to be full of water and bubbles.
Yeah.
So for me, it's more about, the original thought was it's more about the playfulness of the design.
Yeah.
As a knock-on effect, accidentally, it tends to always be really cost-effective as well. So, yeah, most upcycling is actually a really cheap alternative to going out on the high street and buying loads of the expensive stuff. And 99% of the time it's actually better made as well, because you couldn't go and buy something off the high street made out of solid pine. It tends to be chipboard and rubbish. So, yeah, I think it's just a win-win.
Perfect. Right, so we're going to start making this and we're going to show you how you can do it at home too.
So first things first, we don't know that that's square or that's square. So we're using an old set square that's been around the block a bit, as you can see from the scars and wall rims. We'll give ourselves a straight edge there.
Does it matter what size it is, or can it be to whatever their requirement is?
Could be any size really. I mean, the benefit of this design is that you've got to have enough material here to obviously not break. And with the grain as well, you've got to be careful which way the grain goes, so make sure there's no splits and cracks and make sure that the grain's going the correct way. The reason we do this is it's a bit of a cheat actually. If you try to cut that into a point and that into a point, you're bound to make a little bit of a mistake there. It's almost impossible to get that really nice and accurate.
Yeah.
By just making a feature of that join and putting a hole in, it allows it all to flow a lot nicer, and also the muck doesn't sort of nestle in that corner, it's easier to clean out. So it's a bit of a cheat to make life easier, but it's also kind of a design feature which looks quite nice. So I don't actually remember the width we made these. So 210 millimeters wide. So we'll just do that, 210.
So how long does this normally take you to make for customers?
We'd usually make a batch at any one time. That's the thing, because this business did start as me making sort of one-offs.
Yeah.
And then we've realised that actually it's not a very time-efficient way of doing things. So yeah, increasingly we make a batch at once. So we might do all the cuts all the same, put them through the saw all at once, then reverse it, do them all again, do all the drilling at once. So it's hard to say, but a couple of hours. By the time you distress it and wax it and finish it nicely, put the little name tag on. So then we're going to measure the middle point, which will be there. And this will just be a light pencil line. It's like a DT lesson, this, isn't it? It is. We shall measure where the centre of that was. I'm going to make that up ever so slightly. So we're going for 95 millimeters down. Again, you could vary that. If it's somebody with massive feet, you might want to make that slightly bigger. So with a hole, you don't care about where that position is there and there. It's the dead centre point that you're worried about. Yep. So that's going to be where we drill our hole across there. And I believe this is about 60 millimeters in. So here and here. And then we will draw these lines into that point to the centre of there. I must admit, this is one of my favourite things to make. From the centre line that we've drawn, and we'll go to that point there, and there. And the other thing is you don't have to be overly accurate when you're doing this.
Yeah.
It is an organic thing that you're making. This actually is, all my family got these for Christmas last year. Because who doesn't need a boot pull?
Exactly.
People might not realise it, but they do. So now we've marked it all out, the next step is we're going to drill this hole here. Now you can use a hand drill like this one. The problem is you can't get it absolutely vertical, and on something like this it's quite key that it is.
Yeah.
So whilst you could use that, I'm going to cheat because we've got a big pillar drill in the workshop, but it means you've got to wear these
sexy,
very unglamorous glasses. This is a pillar drill. We've got several of these lying around, and it just basically ensures that you get an absolutely vertical hole when you're drilling it. So, have you ever used one of these before?
No.
No, right, well I'll do the holding bit. You could clamp it down, but because I'm here, let's use me.
Okay.
I'm going to press the green button.
Yep.
And you've got your hair tied back.
My hair is tied back.
And all you've got to do is pull that lever down nice and slowly.
Okay.
Okay, and you'll see the magic happen. I'll line it all up, don't worry about that, you just pull that lever down.
Okay.
Happy?
Yeah, let's go.
This is the lazy bit, I'm afraid. We could use a traditional hand saw, it's a panel saw this is called, but it does take longer than you imagine. Even the drilling did, didn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
But we're going to use that later because we have to. But this is a mitre saw, and it swivels in every direction, so you can have 45 degrees that way, 45 degrees that way. And we've actually made this angle up, so it doesn't matter if it's a little bit out.
Yeah.
It's going to be the same both ways anyway. So again, with goggles on, you can clamp this, but I'm just going to clamp it using my hands to there. Am I plugged in? No. So now we've cut those angles using the mitre saw, we're going to go back to an old-fashioned technique of doing it by hand, which, where possible, I think is lovely.
Yeah.
You interact with the material nicer, it's not as noisy, not as dusty. So we're going to basically cut these two lines here. Okay, I'm going to get you started using a panel saw. Now, this won't hurt you unless you drag it across your own hand, so it's entirely up to you. Getting started is the difficult bit because it just sort of wants to bounce all over the place. If you put your thumb like that and rest the blade against the middle of your thumb, that's not actually going to hurt you unless it bounces, so just very lightly drag it towards yourself a few times. To appreciate that it is a skill, you can almost appreciate a cabinet maker or a carpenter a little bit more, don't you?
Exactly, we're going to do this, there we go.
Next we're going to cut the angle, which is what enables it to elevate when you tread on it.
Yep.
So 70mm in. This is actually a really tricky cut, and I'm not sure if there is an easier way to do it, because the way I do it works, but it's quite awkward. There's possibly some scientific mathematical equation we could do here, but I definitely don't know it. So now we've just got to remove that slither. We could actually just sand it away, but I think if we remove most of it with the saw first, then we'll put it on the sander afterwards. And here we go. Now is the time for elbow grease, I'm afraid. So this is just cheap sandpaper from a DIY store. And the key is to look at the numbers on the back. So if it says P80 like that, that means this is very boring, but I'm going to tell you anyway.
Okay.
That's 80 bits of grit per square inch.
Okay.
So I'm not going to count them because that'd be more boring than knowing the fact. But that means it's really rough. and it goes all the way up to sort of 600 bits per square inch, particles per square inch. So this is a nice rough one.
Yep.
Basically, it's rub that against that until it feels nice and
Can't
smooth.
go wrong,
You
yeah.
can't go wrong, hopefully. How are we getting on?
Good, I think. I'm liking the feel of it.
Yes, is this the finer grit?
Yeah.
So you got your 80 there and you finished it with a 180, is it?
Yeah, 180.
Yes. The only problem with scaffold board is it's quite plain looking, it's quite piney, and you can't see the beautiful grain as well as you might like. So we put a furniture wax. This is a dark brown furniture wax.
Is that quite cheap to buy? Can you buy it from any sort
DIY
of
stores, less than £10. We do keep the dirty cloths in each one because if you transfer them over, it kind of picks it up. And just get a bit of wax on your cloth like that. And in fact, you do it.
Yep.
I don't want to steal your moment, because this is when it transforms in front of your very eyes.
Do I have to do it in any sort of motion?
Just go for it. It's really good for the wood. It'll probably make it last longer. And you can see how that grain's all coming out now.
Yeah.
You can see all those beautiful patterns. Bit. And also, I don't know if you saw, but you can see these nice swoopy marks here. That's the saw blade when they used to cut the wood. So when it was a tree, they'd run it through a massive saw, and those big curves that you get, that's the big saw blade marks. Up to you. We tend to distress things. You see how the difference is? See, that's the kind of tone it will go once it dries and it soaks in a little bit more. But we scuff up these little areas like here to give it that kind of worn, distressed look. Or highlights.
Where would you
where it would catch. It's like with you know, the whole shabby chic furniture type thing. You just take some of the paint off or some of the wax off in the raised areas. I think that's a 9 out of 10.
Yes.
I'm not even sure why I've knocked one off. Just because I don't want you to think it's too easy. Do you want to see if it works?
Yeah, let's test it out. Right, so we have finished our boot pull now, and what do you think? I'm quite impressed with it.
I'm very impressed actually. I wasn't sure what to expect because you came not really dressed for the occasion.
No.
But no, it's really good. There's the odd little wobbly bit there, but it just adds to it, gives it character.
Exactly.
What are you going to do with it?
I'm not too sure. I might put it on my desk actually.
As a paper
as an ornament, yeah. And a boot pull when I need it. But let me know if you are going to make a boot pull, and I want to see all of your pictures. Let us know, and hopefully it was a really easy guide for you. And if you want any advice, let us know in the comments below. You can visit Max's amazing website, Reestore.com. I'll leave the link as well below, where he's got all sorts of wonderful creations, which I'm sure you would have seen on TV. But thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you soon.